I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word SHOW to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word SHOW, S-H-O-W, to 33777. Text SHOW to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. I hope you're awake this stupid time change. Just pick one. I don't care. Just pick one. In any event, I digress. Welcome. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. I gotta begin with a awful story, and it is a genuinely awful story, and there is a point to this story. I am friends with the family of Jason Hughes. This has made national news now. Good Morning America did a story about it, and I gotta really credit WSB TV and radio in Atlanta, Georgia, for getting the story more right than any other news outlet in Georgia, and a lot of the national news outlets. It's been appalling to see the media coverage of this outside of my own flagship station's coverage. This is a story that made Good Morning America this morning, and I know the family, and there's a larger story that ties into everything else in the news. But just let me tell you the basic story. I'm a professional here. I'm going to try to do what I want to do and extrapolate out from it. Jason Hughes is a 40-year-old teacher in Gainesville, Georgia, at a high school. And on Friday night, some of his very favorite students showed up to roll his house, to TP, to put toilet paper around it. He knew they were coming. It had been raining. And they waited for the rain to subside, and they rolled his house. He waited for them to be finished to run out to surprise them. Ran across his yard as they were driving off, and he slipped on the wet grass and fell into the road as they were driving by, and the students ran over him. He died at the scene with the students, who have now been charged with vehicular homicide and manslaughter, among other things. And national headlines claim there was a confrontation. The students killed the teacher. It was a terrible tragedy, and it was an accident. It was a terrible accident. And this poor family that now has to plan a funeral is also having to work to get these kids out of jail because it was an accident. There was no maliciousness. Bad things sometimes happen. The teacher loved the kids loved the teacher. These are seniors. 5 of them have been charged. They're going to live lifelong with the trauma of what happened. They don't need to also live under indictment or jail because of an accident. And again, the family of the deceased, I was just texting his brother-in-law a little while ago. In fact, I'll read you directly what his brother-in-law said. His brother-in-law said there was no confrontation. Jason knew the students were coming. He was excited and wanted to catch them in the act. It had been raining, and he accidentally slipped and fell into the road in front of the vehicles as they were driving away and was hit. The students tried to provide aid until the paramedics arrived. Jason loved these students. They loved him. Our family fully supports getting the charges dropped for all involved. This is a terrible tragedy, and our family is determined to prevent a separate tragedy from occurring, ruining the lives of these students. That would be counter to Jason's lifelong dedication of investing in the lives of these children. That's from his brother-in-law. Now, I bring up this local story because I mentioned it online, and you could imagine what happens on social media. And by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't say, if you text the word donate to 33777, I'll send you a link to the GoFundMe account for Jason Hughes' family. He leaves behind a wife and 2 young boys, and they could certainly use the help. Text donate to 33777. So I put this on social media, and if you've never heard my story about how social media came about, there's a story in Mark 5 in Scripture of the demon-possessed men come out of a cemetery. They see Jesus, and the demons know it's Jesus, and they say, "Son of Man, basically, don't destroy us." And Jesus says, "What would you have me do?" And the demons say, "Well, there's a herd of pigs running by. Put us in the pigs." And Jesus says, "Well, what is your name?" And they say, "Legion, for we are many." And he casts the legion of demons into this massive herd of pigs, and the pigs promptly run down the hillside into the lake, and they all drowned. Well, demons are immortal beings, and they had to do something. And so after they got out of the pigs, they started Twitter. And thus explains social media and the demonic forces of social media. It's a terrible gutter. I mentioned the story of Jason Hughes this weekend because it was getting so badly misrepresented by so much of the local press. My friend Martha Zoller just texted me and said her radio station and outlet up in Gainesville thankfully got the story right. Much of Atlanta media got it wrong. Much of the national press got it wrong. And I attempted to correct the record over the weekend. And a funny thing happened. The number of people who couldn't process that a terrible tragedy could happen. Someone must be to blame. Clearly, I didn't know the facts. Clearly, there was a problem. Things like this just don't happen. Actually, bad things happen all the time. Unexplained tragedies. People accidentally struck by lightning. Houses that catch on fire and the smoke detector battery was changed and the smoke detector still didn't work and people die. People are in car crashes. This is a horrible, horrible tragedy. These children, and they are children, they are 18-year-old kids in high school, do not deserve to be in jail, nor do they deserve to be prosecuted. And yet there are people who know nothing of the facts who, when they hear the story, they can't process that something bizarre might happen. Something freak accident might happen. Freak accidents happen all the time. There's an entire movie about freak accidents happening called Final Destination. When it's your time, it's basically the story of the movie. And people can't process this anymore. There must be a sinister hand. There must be something. People are really good at oversimplifying the complex and complicating the simple because our brains in the 21st century with technology and everything, they can't process it. They can't handle it. They don't understand it. And I would extrapolate from this story to what's happening in the Middle East right now because something interesting is happening online. There are a growing number of Americans who are convinced that there is a government conspiracy to cover up the war dead. 7 Americans have tragically been killed by Iran. And there is a belief online that actually there must be thousands of war dead and probably some of our ships blown up. Why? Because Iran has fired so many missiles and drones, it is impossible for Americans to not have been killed. Because they've seen war on TV, they've seen war in the movies, they do not understand, they do not appreciate, they cannot comprehend the defensive capabilities of the United States and Israel. Therefore, there must be a cover-up. In the same way people cannot understand a distinct accident, freak accident tragedy of a man slipping into the road and falling as kids are driving by and they can't stop from hitting him. The roads are wet and all, and they can't stop. People can't process that Americans can withstand thousands of missiles and drones from Iran and not to be killed. There must be a cover-up. People have lost their capacity in the 21st century to be able to figure out what is true and what is false. They have lacked the capacity now to discern what is truthful, what is accurate, and what is factual. And people want to fill in the gaps with other information. In the same way, you've got people out there who are still convinced we never landed on the moon. It's got to be a government conspiracy. People cannot understand that a bad tragedy could happen in Gainesville, Georgia, and they cannot understand that the American defensive capabilities are so good that we can shoot down as many missiles and drones as possible to ensure no one dies, other than 7 servicemen. And 7 is a tragedy. But this is a war. Whether the Republicans want to call it a war or not, this is a war with Iran. It is an existential threat of survival for Iran, which needs to be eliminated as a terror threat in the world. And people just can't fathom it. Jill Stein is a doctor who ran for president of the United States twice. And it is Jill Stein in large part who Democrats like to blame in 2016 for Trump, because Jill Stein got enough votes that had Hillary Clinton gotten them, she would have swung some states and won the Electoral College. Jill Stein is a doctor and a presidential candidate who retweeted an Iranian AI-generated video that even had the watermark for Google Gemini, claiming to show the capture of a massive number of American troops in Iran. If this is true, this is an outrage. He said there were no troops in Iran. This is a terrible defeat to the Americans. They said, you can see the watermark, the AI-generated watermark for Google Gemini, and people were falling for it. It's wild that people don't want to believe anything anymore, but you show them an AI video and, well, it must be true. Y'all, I saw a kitten morph into a lion that turned into King David, and he slaughtered the Iranians. It must be true. That kitten must be the second coming of King David, the Lion of Judah, come to wipe them all out, because I saw the AI video. It must be true. We live in wild and absurd times where so many things have gotten so much more simple. You can get on Claude or ChatGPT and ask it questions and find out explanations, which may or may not be true. They're getting better at telling the truth. But also, we live in a world where there are still deep, complicated things. People have decided there must be a pharma conspiracy because we can't cure cancer. Or pharma wants you to have cancer. It's all concocted conspiracy theories to try to rationalize a world people don't understand. And what I'm learning more and more is there are a whole lot of people who are far dumber than they think they are. You got a lot of people out there who really think they're smart, and they're actually pretty stupid. You got a lot of stupid people out there who are actually smarter than they think. We concoct conspiracy theories and other things because we can't process the world around us and our brain wants to fill in the holes. Sometimes bad things just happen. There's no one to blame. There's no need to prosecute these kids. Bad things just happen. Tragedies happen. Sometimes they happen without anyone to blame. Sometimes we surpass your understanding and our capabilities as a country. And we are better at things than you thought because you're used to betting against the country. And the country is actually far better than you think it is. We are a country that was able to go in to Venezuela and capture the president of Venezuela, who is now in jail in New York City at Rikers Island. How many people have thought about Maduro in the past week or two? We went in there, we got him without losing a single soldier, one of whom got the Medal of Honor because he was shot twice, was bleeding out, and was still able to land his helicopter before passing out from the loss of blood. Guy looks like central casting for Clark Kent. Won the Medal of Honor. Amazing troops. No loss of life. We captured the Venezuelan president. We've now gone into Iran, and in 1 week, we have dismantled their capacity to make war. Their missile and drone ability to attack us has been diminished greatly. We've taken out the Ayatollah. There's now a new Ayatollah. He'll be taken out shortly, I'm sure. We are arming dissidents with inside Iran, making it safe for them to take up arms against the country. We have the Saudis and the Emiratis working to realign oil capacity to stabilize markets. We are an amazing country with amazing people, but some of the people in this country are brain-addled, fried, lost, or dumber than they think they are, and they can't process stories. And the media that should help us process stories is too busy with their own biases and their own need for clicks to sensationalize stories or get stories wrong because of their biases. The media has lost the ability to navigate these stories as well. So we're flying blind and people are extrapolating and putting in facts that don't exist to try to make things work for them in their brain to be able to process them. But what you need to process is this. Sometimes there are terrible tragedies and bad things happen. And sometimes you underestimate the ability of this country to do amazing things. And you shouldn't extrapolate from that the bad thing is happening. There's a cover-up. You should be proud of your country. The world can be overly complicated sometimes, and sometimes it can be way more simple than you think. And how you decide whether it's complicated or simple can help you arrive at the truth of the lie. And one more time, if you text the word donate to 33777, I'll send you the link to the GoFundMe account for the Hughes family.
Meet Christine. She loves shopping. And this is the sound of fashion overload. Too many fabulous things, not enough space. So Christine started selling with The RealReal.
I've always loved collecting designer pieces. Gucci bags, Prada heels. But my style keeps evolving. Selling with The RealReal? Game changer. I earn more, and they do everything.
Seriously, just drop off your items or schedule a pickup. We handle the photos, descriptions, pricing, even shipping. You just sit back and watch your items sell fast to our 38 million members.
And I get peace of mind knowing I earn more selling with The RealReal than anywhere else.
Exactly. That's the sound of your closet working for you. The RealReal. Earn more, save time, sell fast. And right now, you can get an extra $100 site credit when you sell for the first time. Go to therealreal.com to get your extra $100. Therealreal.com. That's therealreal.com.
Friends, I come not to explain away high oil and gas prices. Gas prices have gone up because of the situation in the Middle East, still lower than the peaks of the Biden administration, but they're still high. Interestingly enough, when I talk to you regularly about American leadership in the world and how there are benefits to American leadership in the world that you don't want to be dismissive of, but a lot of people want to retreat from the world and be isolationist. Remember what I've said, exchange rates, we get the best exchange rates in the world because so many transactions are done in dollars. We get the best interest rates in the world because banking is done in dollars. Well, guess what? Your gas prices have gone up, but you know where they're up even higher? Cuba, China, Asian countries, Europe. We are not insulated from global oil and natural gas prices, but we're far more insulated than the rest of the world. Part of it is our own domestic manufacturing and production, thanks in large part to the leadership of Donald Trump. We have a bunch of people in this country who want us to get rid of natural gas and oil and go to solar and wind and nonsense like that. Y'all, we actually benefit by natural gas and oil. We benefit by having expanded pipelines for natural gas and oil in this country. And the rest of the world is seeing far higher spikes in gas prices today than we are. That really is no comfort to you if you are on a fixed income and having to pay higher gas prices. I do understand that, but also keep in mind that our leadership of the world means that we are less impacted by this. And you know who's really impacted? The Cubans, who are on the verge of complete economic collapse, and they're next after Iran. Swiss America is actually doing a lot to educate people about this. In fact, if you go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, E-R-I-C-K, SwissAmerica.com/Eric, if you look up at the top, there's a tab that says News and Views. You get their Real Money blog, you get the podcast, the gold market news, their special reports. You can also fill out the form to get the secret war on cash. The war on cash intensifying for decades. It's ramped up significantly since 2020 as insurmountable U.S. debt and a dying dollar have set the stage for the current reset. But if you click on the Real Money blog, you'll find the gold deal with Venezuela, what it actually means for America. Have you heard about the massive imports? Y'all, all you got to do is go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric. Fill out the form today. Get the Secret War on Cash report, but also get educated with their news about global financial markets, about the price of gold. They're America's trusted leader in precious metals. They have been for 40 years. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Great to get educated. Great to talk to them about a precious metals IRA. SwissAmerica.com/Eric. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, there's blue sky in Tehran today. Now, this may mean nothing for you. There is blue sky in Tehran today. Why is it significant to say there's blue sky in Tehran? Because the Iranian regime has put a bunch of manufacturing facilities and petroleum facilities and the like around Tehran, and the air there tends to be pretty dirty. The fact that there's blue sky in Tehran today, and numerous Iranian dissidents have noted this today, means that the iron smelting plants, the weapons manufacturing facilities, and the oil refineries are all offline. In fact, Israel blew up the oil refineries over the weekend. That Iran's capital, Tehran, has blue sky today is actually very, very significant. When I was growing up overseas as a kid, I had a Magnavox radio that had been bought. Back in the day, there was this thing called the Sears and Roebuck catalog. And I wanted a particular Magnavox shortwave, longwave radio. Now, what was so funny about it is I remember that was what I wanted for my birthday. And we got home from Dubai one summer, and my mom agreed that would be my birthday present, and she ordered it, and the wrong one showed up. And so we took it back to the Sears store and ordered it again, and the wrong one showed up a second time. And that was when we discovered that Sears, in publishing its big book catalog, had put the numbers opposite. The one I didn't want had the number, the order number for the one I wanted, and vice versa. So we ordered the one I didn't want, and the right one showed up. And it was fantastic. My dad still has it. It runs on, you can plug it in, or it runs on C batteries, like 4C batteries. No, 6. And it had a numeric pad on it. You could type in the button of the station you wanted. You could push the shortwave button, the longwave button. And I would stay up, and you could also connect wires. It had 2 little screws on the side where you could expand and enhance the antenna. And I would stay up at night in the Middle East, and I would listen to the Voice of America. I would listen to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. I listen to the BBC. And occasionally, if you were lucky, you'd hear airplanes. And very rarely, but occasionally, you would stumble across radio stations. And they were garbled, and they were speaking in an odd cadence, in a foreign language. And occasionally I would recognize the language. Oftentimes there'd be Arabic. And you'd come across a station, and you would hear Wahad, 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 Talata, Wahad, Kamsa, Kamsa, Wahad, Talatad, Ithnain, Ithnain, Wahad, Ashra, Ashra, Ithnain, Wahad. Those are numbers in Arabic. Wahad, Ithnain, Talata, Araba, Kamsa, Sita, Sabata, Mani, Tisra, Ashra. That's the first 10, 1 through 10. And you'd hear them. Ashra, Ashra, Wahad, Wahad, Talata, Talata, Araba, Araba. And it was just random numbers. And I learned from my math teacher, who, by the way, turned out to be in the CIA, that these are frequencies where if you're a spy, you keep these frequencies on. And when you hear the numbers, those numbers mean something. And the Americans and the Soviets at the time, they didn't do that more often than not. The Cubans might, and occasionally you'd turn into a Cuban channel and you'd hear something similar. But typically what you heard from the Americans and the Soviets was Morse code. And it was very, very rapid. And someone somewhere was translating the Morse code or had a device to translate the Morse code, and that was their orders. That was their mission. Shortly after the Ayatollah Khomeini was blown up last week, people could hear this on shortwave radio. Now, that goes on. Those are transmissions in Farsi of numbers. Not in Arabic, but in Farsi. We learned today from Israeli press reports that the signals went out after the Ayatollah was killed, signaling sleeper cells to activate around the world. What's notable is that we haven't seen significant violence or terror in this country since last week. Are they laying in wait? Are they here? Are they real? We now know from the Israeli press that the orders went out to activate, and none of them have thus far activated. What is going on? We don't know. We will see. What we know is there's blue sky in Iran today, in Tehran, which means that their industrial capacity for war has been shut down. What we also know is that the Iranian ability to produce missiles and drones to fire at us has been diminished. There was a report I saw someone say that, Russia concluded that Iran could disproportionately fire massive volleys of attacks of drones and missiles. Well, yes, except for the fact that they're blown up. They're blown up. You can't fire drones or manufacture drones if the facility in which the drones are manufactured has had bombs dropped on it by a B-52. But there's more progress now. We're learning that ships are crossing the Straits of Hormuz, turning their transponders off as they go through there to avoid detection by the Iranians. We know that is happening as well. But also there's something else. If you look at a map of the Middle East, if you know where the Straits of Hormuz are, the Arabian Peninsula juts out into it. The very, very tip of it is Omani territory. But the United Arab Emirates, people oftentimes don't realize, actually, most of it is on the Persian Gulf, but a significant portion of the country is actually on the Gulf of Oman side of the Arabian Peninsula. When I was a kid, we would go to Corfacon. Corfacon is on the western side of the Arabian Peninsula. We'd go there. We'd go to Fujairah. It was gorgeous. It was one of those places where the water was crystal clear. In fact, the very first place I ever went snorkeling was in Corfacon. I remember there was an old Sagali net. Sagalis are like lobsters, and they had this big dome net, and it had clearly been cut from a boat, and you could go down there and you could explore around it. And I had to be like 8 or 9 at the time. I had on my flippers and my goggles and my snorkel. And y'all, as an 8 or 9-year-old, it didn't dawn on me that when the snorkel got completely underwater and you inhaled, you were going to suck in ocean water. My parents are laughing right now. I can guarantee you, if they're listening to this, they'll remember. I got all the way under the water and I sucked in and nearly drowned myself. Had to get out coughing, spitting out salt water. Only then did I realize you have to actually inhale, go down, and when you come out, blow hard to get the water out of the snorkel, and then you go back down for a while. I remember that, and it was gorgeous. I remember being down there, but it was on the Gulf of Oman. The water was crystal clear. That's where my sister was given lamb brains to eat, thinking it was just oversized blueberries. She didn't go over well with that. But it was a fantastic place. And what Dubai and the United Arab Emirates have done is they've built a pipeline from their oil refineries and oil production facilities over to Corfacan and Ras Al Khaimah there on the Gulf of Oman side, so that if ever the poop hit the fan in the Straits of Hormuz like is happening right now, they can divert their oil to that side of the country. And what we're seeing now is a massive number of ships that are now docking in Corfacan and the Ras Al Khaimah area in Fujairah to those ports there to get the oil that can't flow through the Persian Gulf. Likewise, Saudi Arabia has built a massive pipeline that is called the East-West Pipeline, and it goes from the oil facilities around the Persian Gulf all the way over to the Red Sea. And the Saudis and the Emiratis can actually offset a significant part of pain by moving the oil to those areas where the Iranians can't target them. The East-West Pipeline is 746 miles. It goes across the Arabian Peninsula from the Persian Gulf to the Red Sea. It was built 45 years ago by the Saudis, thinking at some point the situation with Iran would deteriorate so much they would need to divert their oil. There are 20 million barrels a day of crude and refined products that flow through the Straits of Hormuz, a fifth of global consumption. The Saudi pipeline doesn't offset that altogether, but between it and an Emirati pipeline, you can get 5 of those 20 million barrels a day out of the country, and they have the port capacity to do it, which is why now that those pipelines are coming on, we're going to see oil prices probably stabilize. Beyond that, however, we're also seeing the Emiratis start targeting Iran. For the first time, the Emiratis have launched missiles and blown up a desalination plant in Iran. That's a very important point. If any of you have ever seen Lawrence of Arabia, there is a scene in the movie, and it's documented in history, where Sifr Ali says, "The well is everything." The well is everything. Now, what does that mean? Water is life in the Middle East. Water is life. You can take a human's life in Islamic culture, and it's not nearly as bad as if you take someone's water. The Iranians have targeted the United Arab Emirates because the United Arab Emirates has the strongest ties to Israel of any Middle Eastern country. Abu Dhabi and Dubai, once normalization relations with Israel happened under the Abraham Accords, poured in trade relations with Israel. The folks in Dubai in particular had already embraced Israel off the record, and once it was official, they just thoroughly embraced them. El Al, one of the very first places it flew after the Abraham Accords, was Dubai. So Dubai already had a massive target on its back, plus has a major tourism industry. Abu Dhabi has a wealthy oil industry. So Iran started targeting Dubai and Abu Dhabi more than Saudi Arabia, more than Kuwait, more than Jordan, more than Egypt, more than any other nation. They've launched drones and missiles at the United Arab Emirates. Dubai finally had enough and launched a successful attack on a desalination plant in southern Iran. Again, the well is everything. Water is life. Even the United States has not targeted desalination plants in Iran, nor has Iran targeted desalination plants in any of its Middle Eastern allies. They understand what it means to do that. What Dubai is doing by blowing up a desalination plant in Iran is signaling, we want you gone. It's a major escalation by Dubai to enter the fight and start entering the fight by blowing up a desalination plant. Natural gas, by the way, interestingly enough, is not being affected in the United States by this. Natural gas prices everywhere else are being affected. But thanks to Donald Trump again, we produce so much natural gas in this country. Our natural gas prices aren't going up. Nobody's going to see a major home heat. Well, and we're into spring as well. It's starting to warm up. But your natural gas prices in this country are not skyrocketing. Your oil prices are going up, as I mentioned, but not as high as everywhere else. And it's in large part because of our natural gas infrastructure. In fact, I got to go to a meeting tonight. They're trying, my backyard has a natural gas easement through it, and they're trying to expand it. And Greenpeace and the Sierra Club are rallying people to show up at a meeting near my house to oppose this natural gas pipeline. And in fact, they're doing it because part of the natural gas pipeline is going to be used to power natural gas plants, to power AI data centers. And what's so interesting is in the Sierra Club video, they say, hey, don't show up and say you're opposing this because you oppose data centers. That's why we're doing it. But you can't say that in the meeting. You need to say it's about the environment and how solar power is cheaper and blah, 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 blah. They're opposing it because the communist Chinese are opposing it, and these environmental groups are just front groups for the Chi-Coms to try to sabotage our infrastructure. We need, as a national security issue at this point, more natural gas. It's one of the points I intend to make at the meeting tonight, that given the situation in the Middle East, it behooves us to expand these natural gas pipelines. It literally runs through my backyard, and I am okay with them digging up my backyard to expand this natural gas pipeline because it's needed. And you will note, with all the conflict in the Middle East, while our oil prices are going up, natural gas is not so much because of how readily abundant it is inside the United States. And it's only going up in our areas of the country like New York and elsewhere that have limited the capacity of natural gas pipelines to let the natural gas flow. Southern states that have more natural gas pipelines are not being hit with natural gas pipe increases. Midwestern states that have expanded their natural gas pipelines are also not being hit. It's California, Oregon, Washington, and New England that are being massively impacted by natural gas because they chose to listen to the environmentalists and limit their pipeline capacity. This hour of the program is brought to you by Van Allen Golf, ALLEN, vanallengolf.com. I actually was able to do a decent round of golf on Friday afternoon. I love my Van Allen putter. If you want to check them out, go to vanallengolf.com. Check them out on Instagram at Van Allen Golf, or just text the word golf to 33777. Now, I want you to note, if you text golf to 33777, I'm going to send you the link to Van Allen Golf, but also to Golfer's Journal. I got a referral link. And if you subscribe to Golfer's Journal with that link, they're going to send me swag eventually, if enough of you do it, and none of you have, so you should subscribe. I want some more golf balls that have the Golfer's Journal logo on them. You can only get them by you people following the referral link. Text golf to 33777. There's breaking news happening as I'm talking. There is breaking news happening right now. Let me get to this. Oil prices are back below $100. That's right. What a wild 11 hours. But golf. Oil prices are back below $100 a barrel. Also, ships are now flowing through the Straits of Hormuz, and Saudi Arabia and the UAE are announcing they have gotten their pipelines open on the Gulf of Oman and the Red Sea to offset what's happening in the Persian Gulf. So between tankers now making it through the Straits of Hormuz and the East-West pipeline and the Emirati pipeline opening, oil prices are starting to go back down. Well, that was short-lived panic. Okay, now I need to tell you about my water heater from Rinnai. It is tankless, and you should get one for your house. Why? Because, well, in our case, we had an electric water heater. Our power bill went down because, well, we're not having to keep tanks of water hot all the time with electricity. The gas in the tankless water heater only comes on when the water's flowing through it, and it heats up quick. And we've got ours set. It is hot water. You can go to talkingtankless.com. That's the website, talkingtankless.com. Click the button for Rinnai's professional to talk to you about getting your tankless water heater. They are efficient. They're made near me in Griffin, Georgia, and I love the people at Rinnai. I love the tankless water heater idea. And in execution, it's flawless. We never run out of hot water in our house. Our kids never fight over hot water. Multiple people can be taking showers at the same time, and nobody has to worry about hot water running out. It's fantastic. You go to talkingtankless.com and get yourself a tankless water. If you're buying a new house, it's a no-brainer. Talkingtankless.com. Get one for your current tank.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.